friends, it is Ask a Flower Farmer because it's Wednesday, y'all. I don't know if y'all are like me. I'm still kind of catch up after having a holiday. So friends, if you have never dropped in on us for Ask a Flower Farmer, let me tell you how it works. So for the next 30 minutes or so, I will take your questions related to flower farming, growing cut flower business, seed starting, cool flowers, whatever you've got. Just post your questions down below in the bubble with the question mark in it. And I will do my best to answer those for you. So you guys can see I'm inside my home. This is my mantle. I'm all decorated for Christmas. I had 2 Thanksgiving dinners here over the weekend for each side of our family, and it was really kind of fun. So I hope you had a really wonderful time with friends and family, and I'm standing in front of the fires down there too. I don't know about you, but it is kind of cold, and we get this cold, but it's a little earlier than what we're used to. And I don't know if any of you all are planting cool flowers. The concern that I have is that my cool flowers were still kind of in their getting established time, because I was planting a little late. So we put our covers up before this blast. We're in the low 20s, which they take when they're well established. So anyway, the verdict is always out on that. And I just want to say that if you have a question you'd like for me to answer so I don't lose it in the comments, just post it down below in the bubble with the question mark. So let's just take a gander at what's going on with cool flowers. So first off, I'm incredibly happy. Y'all may or I don't know if I've mentioned it or not, but I finally broke down last year and purchased a portable electric net deer fence, because after 25 years of farming here in the city, we always had deer. They just really didn't mess with my stuff. They went to the neighbors' yards. We started having serious deer pressure, particularly on cool flowers, during spring and winter, right? And so we have our deer fences up around the cool flower garden. And this morning I watched on our cameras as a family of 5 deer skirted around my yard and didn't go near the deer fence, which just tells me that they've gotten a little zap and they know to stay away from that. So I'm really, really grateful for that. And if you have deer pressure, I can't tell you how much easier I sleep now because of that deer fence. I don't have to worry about them out there just grazing my stuff to the ground, right? So the deer fence is up. We have row covers down. I'm actually going to put a second layer of row cover on a couple of the beds. One of them is a test bed, which it just has some stuff that I'm not sure if it's fall, winter hardy for me or not. And those that are really important to me because we are colder earlier, and I have the covers. That's perhaps one of the gifts. I actually had lunch yesterday with a local flower farmer who's become a friend, and I was telling her that I was going to put a second layer on because I have them. As she said, you never have enough weight bags, you never have enough hoops, you never have enough row cover because there's always more stuff you actually want to protect. And I'm just really happy to say, because we have downsized the farm down to just to a gigantic cutting garden instead of having our huge cutting gardens, I have enough row cover to actually do that. So if you're planting what is winter hardy in your winter hardiness zone, you shouldn't have to cover, but it just helps them. It's like ours, we're having a lot of cold wind right now. Why even expose them to that if you don't have to, right? So that's kind of where we are on cool flowers. My fingers are crossed. My direct sown beds are kind of small. They're tiny, We shall see. That'll either be what gets them through or it'll take them out. So only time will tell that. So let's see what questions we have down here. Best daylight independent Cosmo for strong stems. So strong stems, if you're having weak stems, that is most likely usually caused by over-fertilization. We don't fertilize cosmos at all. We don't fertilize the seedlings in the tray, and we don't fertilize them beyond all of our beds get prepared with general purpose fertilizer. They get that, but nothing beyond that. When they get too much fertilization, they get weak stems, and they typically don't bloom very much. So that would be perhaps my first thought. And secondly, we also found, certainly some varieties are better for cuts than others. I mean, my go-to, I'm just sitting here thinking, my go-to cosmos that I absolutely love. And so we have them all. There's 14 different ones, I believe, on my website. About 5 of those are probably all double clicks. They're just in the individual colors. Double click is definitely a go-to. And then fizzy and afternoon white and all the ones that you see on our website, except for I wasn't really thrilled with lemonade and apricota. I just found that they just don't hold up as long. So I hope that helps. And they definitely need full blast and sun. But I think over fertilization or too much water even, they like it lean and mean. They definitely perform better in late summer as the days begin to shorten. But we grow them all season. I mean, we plant them on our very first warm season tender annual planting for all of our successions. So I hope that helps you. Oh, I didn't hit the right button. Wait a minute, y'all. Right now, everything's iced up, yikes, but it starts to snow. Do I undo one side of the tunnel and let the snow cover the flowers? I just can't imagine they could take a couple of feet of snow on top of them. So that's a really great question. First off, you always, it doesn't matter where you are, you always take the row covers down. Like if they're on hoops, you take the weights off one side and take them off the hoops and lay them down on the other side, because they will smother your flowers if they get covered in snow. Snow is a far better insulator than a row cover ever thought to be. And I say this continually. This is assuming that you planted stuff that's winter hardy in your winter hardiness zone. That's also a really big problem. If you get snow and it stays down for the entire winter, that's an issue. Then you might not be a fall planter. That doesn't happen to many people, I don't think, that actually are planting things that are winter hardy in their zone. So yes, you just take the covers down. When you leave the covers up, because we only do lightweight row covers. We're not building low caterpillar tunnels which have poly on them. And because they're not even really going to take the snow either, they're going to collapse. And when the fabric has snow weight on top of it, it can really smother your plant. So yes, you actually are taking the row cover down, and the snow and even the ice. I can remember one particular year, and I mean, we probably had 36 to 40 100-foot beds of cool flowers. I mean, that is a lot of beds and a lot of flowers. And we had a huge ice storm on the way. Actually, we were without power for 17 days. And it was really hard for me to take those row covers down. I was terrified. And they were all iced over. And we have images of, like little snapdragons coated in ice. And they all survived much better than we did, right? So that natural coating can really... Mother Nature's cover is far more beneficial than our actual cover. How do you decide whether to use the ground cover to discourage weeds versus just planting in the ground with no weed cover? So I don't know what ground, you might be talking about landscape fabric. We don't use landscape fabric. There's lots of different types of coverings, whether it's mulch, like organic mulch, bark, pine straw, shredded leaves. There's that. Then there's films. One of those would be landscape fabric, which we typically don't use. Then there's just plain old plastic. And then there's Bio 360, which is the biodegradable film. And all of those, no matter which one of those mulches you select, the weeds need to not be there. They don't kill weeds. They will help to prevent weed seeds from sprouting because they're blocking light. And they all do it in very different ways with very different success. And so you need to eliminate the weeds, then choose your mulch selection, then you plant. And then those mulches help you to maintain the beds. There is no magic bullet, right? There is no magic, put it down and nothing grows through it. I mean, landscape fabric for us here in the South, the weeds, the perennial weeds pop up through it. They jump on top of it and run on them. And then it's just nearly impossible to get them off. And that's why we just don't use, they're far more work than they prevent. So just be cautious of that. All right, let's see. Zone 6A started cool flowers late and covered for a couple of weeks when temperatures got down to mid-20s. I removed plastic and covered with 4 to 6 inches of leaf mulch. Will they survive? They were seedlings, but only 2 to 3 inches tall. Love your post and advice. Well, thank you. It's really hard to say. So here is the bottom line, the golden rules of cool flowers. First off, you only fall plant what is winter hardy in your winter hardiness zone, right? So let's just say you're in zone 6A, which is what you are, and you fall planted straw flowers. Well, they're going to die because straw flowers are only winter hardy to zone 8, which is south of you, right? That means those winters aren't as cold as yours are. However, if you plant snapdragons and many others, they are winter hardy. But when you fall plant, they really need to be established before they have to go dormant for winter. And that's what happens. So when we plant late, and don't really provide them with all those extra cuddling things that can actually help them, which, I think you said you covered them for a couple of weeks. 6 to 8, the reason we say plant 6 to 8 weeks before your first fall frost is that's how long it takes those plants to actually get established. Or if you planted a seed, for the seed to sprout into a little baby plant, all before they go dormant when real winter hits, which is below freezing. Below freezing, nothing much is happening out there. They're just sitting there and waiting. Well, if they're just sitting there and waiting, but they don't have a root to stand on because they aren't established yet, they probably will not survive. So planting late and then getting these low 20s can really be an issue potentially. And I will say to you that the people that have great success with cool flowers and just knock it out of the park learn after, and I did the very same thing, y'all. I was right there with you. I used to notoriously plant late because I was so caught up in the season, not understanding that getting the fall planting in was more important for my spring sales than anything I could be doing in the fall, because spring is the highest demand of the year, right? So you want as many and as much as you actually want in flowers to be available. And planting late is what I see as the common denominator in people that struggle and fail, and you just have to live and learn that. But once you have one success, once you get a planting in that really hits the ground running, goes through winter and takes off in spring, and you get to really embrace that potentially a little bit earlier bloom, they're taller and there's more of them because they're so well established. That's what makes you actually mark your calendar for this coming fall to get them in ground on time. And of course, right around the corner, I mean, literally, so it's not, let's see, what is today, December 3rd or something? I mean, from 1 month from today, I will starting my cool flowers for the next window of opportunity, which is very early spring. You know, I mean, I think you're better off if you're late and you're thinking about trying to start late. I say just wait till very early spring, and see, and just be able to plant nice size transplants with them heading into when the warmer weather is actually coming, right? All right, so let me get to this next question. Right now, everything's, those are the ones I've already answered. So that's the biggest challenge that I see with people with cool flowers is planting late. You know, it's like we all get recovered. If you're a flower farmer, maybe you finally have come off, you know, the long season, you were hot and exhausted and you weren't thinking about cool flowers. You know, that's why I live off of that big calendar, y'all. You know, you can find that giant calendar that I actually use over on my website, thegardenersworkshop.com. Go to the free resources and go to the I want to be a flower farmer page. Scroll all the way to the bottom and there's a link to that giant calendar that I use to run my farm. And what I mean by that is I mark that thing up in January and December also. Actually, I try to do it in December so that January is a little freer. And everything's written on there. When I'm starting my seeds, when I need to buy my seeds, when we start them, what our planting dates are. Very simple, basic information. But, like for instance, do you think that, so we had cut flower kale this fall, which is an amazing fall harvest crop. That's the long-stemmed kales that look like little roses. You know, would I ever have remembered to start that seed in the middle of July? No. But because it was written on my calendar, I wrote it when it was the appropriate time for me to start that. We remembered to do it. And that's the big thing about fall planting. You have got to sit down with your calendar. If you're in my club, I actually did a master class on that, I think last month, and showed you, literally went through on my calendar and showed how to hit those key dates that are paramount, that everything actually revolves around. And getting your supplies, right? And, you know, the one thing that we need to remember about supplies right now, and I do want to say here, we thank each and every one of you that shopped with us over this Black Friday event. I mean, it was just phenomenal, all the stuff flying off the shelves, and we just love doing that for you guys, and we are just so very, very grateful, and the team is just running, or, you know, packing as fast as they can. So we appreciate your business and for actually shopping with us. So getting your supplies and having what you need long before you need it, because I tell you something else that we see happening, and we see it as buyers of bulk seed and bulk, you know, products, is that there's just more people gardening since the pandemic. The gardening industry quadrupled during the pandemic. I mean, everybody was staying home, right? I mean, it was absolutely incredible. And that has not slowed down. Thank goodness, right? I mean, we all know, most of us know, that gardening is our lifeline. That's what we really love to do. And so what that means is stuff sells out. You know, we go in and out of stock on certain, I mean, can we ever get all the eucalyptus seeds in stock at one time? Never has that happened for the last 3 years, right? So, you just have to actually think a little bit further ahead. What I like to tell people is that it's almost like, think like a retailer. You know how we see bikinis in Not sure how I turned that on, y'all. Have no clue how I turned that filter on. So, y'all, we're really having the Christmas vibe now, right? So, think like a retailer, how we have bathing suits in the stores at, January, when that's the last thing you're thinking about. Think about when they had to think of the design of those bathing suits, get the material for those bathing suits, to sew those bathing suits, to sell those bathing suits, to ship them to the distributors that bought them. Think about all of that. I literally do know. Oh, wait a minute, up here maybe. There we go. Gosh, I must have touched the screen. Sorry, y'all. That was pretty interesting. It is just, you need to get ahead of the wave. And if that's one thing that being in business has really taught me, is just about how much further back. I mean, I just said to Suzanne before I came on here, Wednesday, we call this a maker day, M-A-K-E-R. This is the day we make stuff. I make stuff on Monday and Tuesday by myself here on the farm. I mean, that's the days I write, make videos, do all that stuff. And then on Wednesdays, Suzanne and I take that stuff usually another step, right? And, I just told her this morning that I just heard I was listening to a business podcast, and it talked about that when you have a new idea, you need to have a 90-day steps that idea goes through. And if it doesn't make it to the end, and there's things you should think about and do. And why I was telling her this was when we were growing up, our dad, Suzanne is my sister for anybody that doesn't know that. When we were growing up, our dad was a man of few words. If we wanted something significant like a pet or something major like that, our mom made us ask our dad. And you hated to ask him because there was a lot of quiet after you asked, and for us Jabberjaw girls, that wasn't good. Anyway, I asked for a cat. I was probably 12 or 13. I wanted a kitten. And so I can remember him saying to me, okay, here's the deal. You can have a kitten if after 30 days from now, you still want it as bad then as you do now. And it worked most of the time. I'd forget totally about whatever it was that I wanted. I wanted an aquarium. I got an aquarium. But I can remember coming home one day from school, and he had taped to my bedroom door the picture of a little cat, saying that meant it had been 30 days, right? So waiting out is a very important thing. As flower farmers, we need to flip that switch and think back. We need to move our schedules back, and it's just so very, very significant. Do you plant dill in your garden to use as filler? Yes, we plant the dill bouquet as the variety. It's a cool flower. Ours are planted now, actually, and I had a huge stand of them out there. I hope they're still there. They're one of the crops that we're right on the edge of whether it's winter hardy or not. So I'll plant it again in very early spring, which is the next cool flower window. And if you're not familiar, Cool Flowers is the name of my book that's about planting cool season hardy annuals during their proper time for your garden. And it really helps you to delineate when you find out. And of course, my book, The Cut Flower Handbook, really takes you down the detailed list of figuring out when you plant everything in your garden. You can find all of those over on my website. I would love to sign a book for you. You can comment shop here, and that'll DM you the link, or you can just head over to thegardenersworkshop.com. But we use the dill heads in our bouquets. We don't use the foliage. I've never even tried to use the foliage. I would guess that it would not hydrate and stay hydrated. And yes, Connie, I did get the kitten. That was a long time ago. That was one of our, I think we called her Puss in Boots. That was a kitty. My sister, my brother, and his wife were getting a cat. And this would have been one of the litter mates, I think. No, you know what that cat's name was? I haven't thought about this in so long. Stuff. S-T-U-F-F. And so, yes, I did get the kitten. Just wanted to mention how well packaged. Just wanted to mention how well packaged my package was with my order. I tried out the shears. They cut like butter. Thank you for the prompt service with my order. I will pass that on to the team. You know, we really have an amazing team of people. People that want to work, that want to be at work. You know what I mean? They take such pride in their jobs. From the people that are packing our seed packages, to the folks, I mean, the people that are buying the products, that are going in those boxes and making it happen, and then those in the fulfillment center, and those that are marketing so that people know what is happening and going on. You know, tomorrow night I do my 3rd boot camp session with my flower farming school students, and that's one of the things I'm talking about tomorrow night. It's just talking about marketing and selling, and I just can't wait to talk about it. And because so many people are so nervous and put off by that, but y'all, it is nothing but showing off your stuff and making sure people know how they can buy it from you. That's the bottom line, right? So thank you very much for that, Art Dolls. All right. So that's all the questions. So friends, it's just about 1 o'clock. If you are in the club, remember to meet me over at the Sewing Circle today. I know I'm going to be showing you some baby plants. I'm not quite certain. I don't think I'm going to sow seeds. I don't, anyway. So, but meet me at 2 o'clock inside the club. It's the Flower Farmer Club, which is my membership, and we meet up just about every week to do something. And we sow seeds about 10 months out of the year. But then this winter months, actually normally we had planned for us to stop it during the winter, but it's kind of fun meeting up with everybody and doing a little something, and we're going to do that today. So if you're in the club, I'll see you at 2 p.m. inside the Sewing Circle. And if you want to learn more about my club, you can find it at thegardenersworkshop.com, or you can comment club here and we'll DM you the actual link. And friends, so try not to be too afraid with cool flowers. I understand how it's a little nail biting, especially when it gets colder earlier than we anticipated. It sure did for me. But believe it or not, cool flowers usually pull through if we planted them kind of on time and we only planted stuff that is winter hardy in your winter hardiness zone. And just know that each year you plant cool flowers in fall and very early spring, it gets easier. You figure it out and find what your ebb and flow is for your garden space. And so friends, thank you so much for joining me here. Remember that we have our live shopping show Friday, 12 noon inside our app. I do a giveaway each week. It's a lot of fun. So I hope to see you Friday, 12 noon Eastern time. And till we meet again, friends, ciao.